Hello, I'm David Burress with Calerin Forge, and we're doing another soapbox video, and hopefully I won't ruffle too many feathers tonight. I generally steer clear of political hot buttons, but there's a lot going on in our country right now, and I feel like I have to put my oar in the water on some of it. I want to show you all something here. This is a handmade drum. It's expertly fashioned out of native poplar wood, and depending on your viewpoint, this drum was carried by a trader at one point. He was a traitor to the British Crown, but in my viewpoint, he was a patriot who was fighting to free himself from an oppressive government. And this drum was carried in the American Revolution and helped win America's freedom. After that war ended, it was carefully kept in somebody's attic, and 85 years later it was brought out and new heads put on it, and it was tightened up and used in the second American Revolution. And again, depending on your viewpoint, carried by a trader. But in my viewpoint, it was carried by another patriot, because this was carried by my great-grandfather, John Valentine Reese, in the Second War of American Independence. So he was 17 years old, was a drummer for the 25th North Carolina Confederate Infantry, was wounded and mustered out till his wound healed, and he re-enlisted with the 62nd and carried the drum, was captured at Cumberland Gap, and spent the remaining 26 months of the war in Camp Douglas, Illinois, in the prison camp. Now, there's a lot going on in the country. All of a sudden, the Civil War, which is a misnomer. Civil War is actually, if you read the definition, two factions fighting for control of the central government, and that was not what was going on in the Second War of Independence. What I see going on is something that an old history teacher of mine, Mr. H.K. Terrell, taught us, was that you can never view history through the lens of today. You can't judge historical figures by modern standards. It's like we can't judge doctors of the 18th century for bloodletting, thinking that was going to be the cure-all for everything, when that's the best life they had to operate under. Slavery was and is a horrible institution, and it's still going on in parts of Africa and the Muslim world even today. So, but to say that's all that war was about would be comparable to saying that we were going to get everybody to take up arms today in defense of the 2% of the people that own Ferraris, so that they could keep owning Ferraris. You know, just if you take a step back and really look at things, just read your history, study. Don't take a Facebook meme's word for it. Don't get your history from Hollywood. Think about things. Don't get caught up in the moment and in the emotion of the thing. I see these people tearing down monuments and stuff, and to me they look like children that weren't properly taught to respect other people's property. So I guess that's my soapbox for the evening. Our country really needs to take a step back, take a deep breath, and let's prayerfully consider how to move forward. The war that's got everybody tore up happened 150 years ago or more, and those people were struggling with some really complex questions. It literally tore our country apart, and we can't let that happen again. I was in Ukraine 25 years ago on a mission trip, and it was shortly after Ukraine had won their independence from the Soviet Union, which was not a good deal for Ukraine. There was 33 million people murdered under Stalin's regime just in Ukraine. And I asked the interpreter, this 19-year-old girl that was with us on the bus that we were going to the job site in, we stopped at a red light, and I noticed the big bronze statue of Vladimir Lenin in the town square. And I asked her, I said, Tanya, since you have your independence, why did you not tear down these statues from the communists? And she shrugged and said, well, even though it is unfortunate, it is still our history. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Let me hear from you in your comments. God bless.